Well, hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I am your... It's okay. You can take a drink. It's okay.
Yeah, you don't know what's in there. It's tea.
Yeah. Tea? Beautiful. What kind of tea?
It's green tea.
All right, green tea. I should get some green tea. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I am your host, John Harris, and on my left-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
We got the Moonrise, so prepare. The Nightmare Weaver is going to begin, so attack!
Boom. And today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have MANUEL BARBARÁ. That's correct?
That is correct.
Beautiful. He has got a new album called Moonrise, which is released on March 19th. And right now, I'm being joined by MANUEL himself to share some more information about this release and some of the music videos that he's had. So, MANUEL, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great to have you on. Hopefully, this is the most interesting interview of the day for you.
Sure is.
Okay, perfect. Now, one of the things that I had noticed as soon as you popped up was that this is the room where the magic happens, because you have playthrough videos for Moonrise and for the Nightmare Weaver, and almost everything looks exactly as it should. So maybe take us a bit through your setup. What's going on over here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I kind of moved back into my family's house out in New Jersey when the whole world ended. But I set up this room. These acoustic panels. There's another two in front of me over there. I built with my mother, and we put the lighting and all that. So it's a fun summer project. To use my grandpa's old tools for that. So we've got, I've got my keyboard over there, speakers, the massively overpowered PC that you can't see behind me. I'm not going to try and show you it. And, my guitar rack over there, another one over there, because I have too many instruments. It's not a professional studio, but the sound treatment does a pretty good job of keeping everything under control, and that looks great on videos. So. Yeah,
it does look great on video. Like your beard. Your beard also looks great on video.
Thank you. Thank you, Troy.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a massively overpowered PC, so you're recording on Windows?
So the album was recorded on a Mac, but I changed my setup pretty significantly since that happened. So I recorded it on, a little, 2015 MacBook Pro that, cried out in pain every time I added a new layer to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've got a Windows PC with 32 gigs of RAM and Ryzen R7 or something like that in it, and I switched from Pro Tools to Reaper because I'm one of those people now. Apparently.
Oh no!
No, what?
Oh no!
What?
He switched from Pro Tools to Reaper.
What?
I know.
I hate Reaper. It actually duplicates the tracks.
Okay. Anyway, carry on. Tell us more. I'm actually deeply curious about the switch from Pro Tools to Reaper. Is it just because of the cost? Is it because of the usability? I don't find Reaper to be usable at all, but I mean the cost is definitely a good price.
Yeah, the cost is a great price. Reaper does a lot if you can figure out how to tell it what you want it to do. Okay. It looks terrible, and it feels terrible but the thing about it is that you can customize literally everything about it. So you can set your keyboard shortcuts how you want it. So I basically have most of the Pro Tools keyboard shortcuts programmed into it. You can change the way it looks. So I have a setup with it like a dark theme that doesn't hurt my eyes when I use it. The MIDI editor is a lot less annoying than the Pro Tools one. It was partially a cost thing because, Avid pricing is a little bit past my budget at this point. Mm-hmm. But I kind of just started liking the way the workflow works, and you can really get in and customize all the stuff in there. And also the built-in EQ is kind of great, and I keep telling everyone who will listen to that. But
the REQ?
The REQ, it works surprisingly well for like a stock EQ that looks like that.
Well, I mean the stock Pro Tools. There's nothing wrong with the stock Pro Tools EQ.
No, there isn't. Yeah. There isn't, absolutely not. But the REQ, the cool thing about it is that you can put as many bands as you want. You can add as many bands as you want in there, and it won't Like you don't have to. Well, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but you can literally just hit the add band button instead of opening up a new instance of the plugin if you want more than the couple bands that the stock EQ gives you.
Mm-hmm. What's up, kiddo?
Speaking of Pro Tools, I actually have a fun fact for you.
Yeah, what's that?
I used to use Pro Tools.
Good for you. I mean, it's the industry standard for a reason.
Yeah, it was Pro Tools first, though.
Okay, interesting thing. You said it's an industry standard for a reason. Now, the funny thing is that I've never been able to identify what that reason is.
Well, the reason in my mind is the hardware integration. It's that and everyone knows it. So they will all the studio gear is kind of set up to work with that. And you can assume that anyone coming into your studio, I'm not a professional sound engineer, but you can assume that everyone coming into your studio knows how to work the software and that it'll work with the hardware without any fiddling. Yeah,
that's a good point. Like we use Logic, and technically the hardware integration should be Apogee, which we do not have. And then Avid obviously had their own stuff. It was M Audio for a really long time, and then
it was.
Okay,
it was
cool. So then you recorded the album on a 2015 MacBook Pro running Pro Tools.
Ooh.
Yes, sir. And I recorded it with a Line 6 Helix and just a Horizon drive pedal that I got sitting up there. All the guitar tones are that.
Okay, so the guitar tones are not the Neural DSP Granophyre that showed up.
No, I got really into Neural plugins about a year after I recorded that album. And I just kind of got used to keeping the plugin interface up because it looks nice when I do videos. But no, that guitar tone is not the Granophyre. I love that plugin though; it's awesome.
Yeah, tell us about. I mean, I could go on for days about why I like that particular plugin and how it is the unfortunate underdog of the entire Neural DSP catalog because nobody uses it, but.
There's a couple guys, like a lot of more indie guys or independent guys use it, but it's gnarly. It like if you want just a nasty chuggy tone, it can do every single version of that you could dream of, and it responds to the IRs so well. Like I have this old, it's not that old. It's an IR that I got from like. Aklakani of Tesseract put out a just Helix preset pack. Came with an IR. I just slapped it on, and it sounds amazing. I didn't even have to turn any knobs to make it work. But it's got this really thick, meaty sort of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Which tubes do you use? Because on the Granophyre, you can actually switch out the tubes.
I think I've been using the 6L6s. Also, the plumes, the pedal sim that they put in front of it is awesome. It's the best version of that thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very unique overdrive because speaking of that chuggy, it adds a very nice, interesting snarl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. I haven't really played around with clean tones in it. I usually use the Nolly for that kind of thing. But I feel like it could do some of the like Tosin thumpy kind of thing with that plumes pedal in it.
Mm-hmm. Or you would just get his.
Or you could just get his.
Yeah,
but,
his Neural DSP plugin.
Yeah. I could. Neural's great. Yeah. I have whenever that ships, the Quad Cortex, I ordered it when I got to try it out in NAMM.
Okay. Now, are you going to say goodbye to your Line 6 Helix? Are we saying goodbye to Line 6?
I still use. I don't have the hardware unit anymore, but I still use the plugin, the Helix Native, for a bunch of stuff. Just whenever I need. Actually, one thing I have done is I've used it as a like pedal board of sorts for the Neural plugins. So I'll run 2 instances of the Helix Native with like the effects I want in front and the effects I want like afterwards, and that gets some really interesting sounds. It's kind of making all the companies angry at me.
Well, I don't know. You're using their stuff, and I mean,
I am using their stuff.
Yeah, that's why you need 32 gigabytes of RAM because you're running two instances of Helix and Neural. So
it's not friendly on the hard or on the RAM, but I can do it. So
great question then. Line 6 Helix native plugin versus Neural DSP plugin. How do you feel that they're different? Are they different?
They're versions of the same thing. When it comes down to it, you can get great sounds out of both of them. I tend to make fun of people who, like, especially when they start talking about real amps versus digital amps, because no one's going to notice when you're up on stage or when the finished product is done. Mm-hmm. I think it's down to feel. I like the way the Neural plugins respond to my hand a little better, and they definitely sound. I have to fiddle with them less.
Right.
There's less, twiddling of knobs and finding cab IRs, and I can just load up one of the presets on the any of the Neural plugins, and it'll do what I want it to do. Yeah.
I have an imprint in my mind. Speaking of the whole digital versus analog thing, because we were at a guitar clinic in 2019. Me and Gabesy here.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. We went to a drum clinic too.
And this girl was up on stage. She was touring, doing a guitar clinic tour, and she was using a head rush. And somebody in the crowd, deliberately with a lot of acne, overweight, no friends, was like,
yeah.
Hey, how come you're using a head rush and not a real amp? And she's like, you really want me to drag around a full stack on a guitar clinic tour? It's just not realistic. And then I was in a band a number of years ago, 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And I had a Boss GT8.
Yep.
And I used that not only for the preamp, but also for the effects. So I had it set up so that it looked like I was playing through a Marshall on stage, but I was just using the power amp.
Mm-hmm.
And I had tons of people coming up to me afterwards telling me how great the tone was. Man, I've never heard a Marshall sound like that before. That sounds so great, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and then I'd point to my Boss GT8, and then they would start getting, hissy. Oh, so it's not real. You enjoyed it up until that point.
Exactly. It's not real anyway, because it's all, electronic signals. It's not like we have a handcrafted, 2,000-year-old violin that we're playing through that only one of them in the world sounds like that. It's electrical signals that we're destroying the crap out of with either tubes or numbers, right?
Mm-hmm. Tubes or
and
numbers.
As long as the numbers do what the tubes do, at least close enough, no one's going to care.
Exactly, baby. But speaking of caring, let's talk about this record, Moonrise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just tell us about this record, because take it away. Tell us about this record.
Yeah, my pleasure. So it started life as kind of me deciding I got all this music for bands that just didn't work out. A lot of them from early in the Berkeley days, and it's just like, hey, I want to make this into something. Let me take the music, polish it up, maybe write some new stuff, make it into a nice, solid, not too long, just as much as I can get done. It was all over a summer, minus some layering and stuff that we did up until the last minute. But so I did roll the music over that summer, recorded all the guitars at the end of the summer. And then from there, it was just this huge process and learning curve of, going through several drummers, figuring out how to get that done. We ended up going into a really cool studio in Boston called Mad Oak to get that. With my friend Joey Ferretti, who plays with a bunch of really cool bands. And, then Nick Thorpe, I had the honor of playing with both of those guys in a couple things, but mainly we did a Tesseract ensemble in one of our later years of Berkeley. So we just played played a fairly lengthy set of Tesseract music, which was difficult. But anyway, I really want to I studied classical composition, right? So, I think it's a little misleading when I say that I want to, do metal with a classical approach, because everyone thinks Yngwie when you say that. But what it is that I want to do is to take that training and all these tricks that I got from, late 19th to 20th century music, which I love a lot and isn't what you think of when you think of classical music. It's all this weird, spiky, not necessarily tonal type stuff, and apply it to metal. But I want it to be metal. It's, I'm not writing for an orchestra. I'm writing for a metal band.
That would be the Romance era, correct?
Romantics, and then into the late Romantics. So are my favorite from that era, and then into the 20th century with guys like Schoenberg and Stravinsky. And there's no prog anything that doesn't owe their entire thing to Stravinsky.
You got a question, kiddo?
Daddy just worked on your website, but this shined like a star on my end. I don't know if it did to you.
Sorry, what's going on?
I just saw that you did a cover of one of our Nail the Mixes.
Oh, yeah. So we do Nail the Mix from the URM Academy. And
yeah, I've been doing that as well, yeah.
So
it's a good...
Yeah, so Animus by Monuments.
Animus. Yeah, that was a fun cover. That was also Joey and Nick and my good friend Melissa Henderson and my also good friend Talia Tomowski. Yeah, it was fun. I love that song. It's just cool. It's a cool song. So we decided to do a cover of it. We had been, and we've got one video actually, I think should be coming out today. Probably be out by the time this airs, but, we had done a Scar Symmetry thing. So we did a cover of what was it? Dominion. Got a cover of Holographic Universe on the way with some of those people. And we just wanted to do Animus because it had just come out and it was cool.
Sweet. Okay. Now, otherwise, you were in the middle of saying something. We were chatting about our favorite Romance era classical guitar players. And Yngwie Malmsteen. So
and
all the street picking.
Yeah. I mean, Yngwie's thing is basically, hey, you like Paganini? Well, I also like Paganini. But there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to be had from there. There's all kinds of just weird sounds and really aggressive. Like you get into Bartók and Stravinsky and Schoenberg, and it's like it sounds like Meshuggah without all the ridiculous rhythms, and sometimes you even have the ridiculous rhythms, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of approach music from this idea of like expanding on themes instead of just, the standard, here's a riff, here's another riff. It has nothing to do with the first riff. Here's yet another riff. We don't know where we're going with this.
We're going to get there, I promise. No, you won't.
Yeah.
We won't at all.
You won't get there.
Cool.
Dun,
Okay.
dun, dun.
So, these two first tracks, Moonrise obviously is a title track. The Nightmare Weaver, I guess what was it about these tracks, aside from the fact that Moonrise is a title track, that you wanted to kick these out first as singles and videos?
Yeah, I think they both really showcase what the album is about. I think probably the best way, if you've listened to the album, to showcase what it's about is the Mirror Suite, but that's half the album right there. I didn't really want to put that whole thing out yet. But it's the two main things in this album are these like really big, chuggy 8-string, riffs, and then all this ambient stuff, really ambient synths. There's a lot of wine glass samples in there. The like really tinkly guitar tones with the reverb and octave and whatnot on them. I felt that Moonrise was possibly the most like energetic in a kind of a traditional way thing on the album. So I thought that would be a good thing to lead with. It's just that chorus riff. Everyone likes that chorus riff that I showed it to. So it's nice. It's catchy. It's energetic. It's got a little bit of melodic stuff in there. And then Nightmare Weaver is one of the things I'm most proud of that I've done. It's just it's based on a whole bunch of themes that I really love the way they fit together. So I felt like putting something like that was a little more intricate would be the right move to give kind of a picture of the whole thing.
Okay. Beautiful. Sweet. So we've chatted about the record. We've chatted about Line 6 Helix, Nail the Mix, Reaper, 32 gigabytes of RAM, Granophyre.
We chatted about Pro Tools.
We chatted about Pro Tools. we would be hating on the Pro Tools, which I want to see more of in the world.
I want to see
Yeah,
more
it's probably
studios
gonna
move
be-
to Cubase, because that has the potential for hardware integration and also doesn't make me angry. But anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be switching to Pro Tools again because there's a plugin that I really want to get, but it's only available for Pro Tools.
Well, I'm not going to switch to Pro Tools for just one saturation plugin, but
I feel the struggle.
It's a great plugin.
but yeah, no, one of the last nail the mixes was Sam Guyana. He was that I can't remember what it was called, tape head or something. He pulled up some plugin,
Yeah.
put it on the snare, and it just sounded really good. So I looked
sounded like-
into it,
Crisp.
and they were like, "What DAW are you using, Pro Tools or other?" So I clicked other, and they were like, "Sorry, we don't make plugins for you." And I was like,
Yeah,
Aw,
I've seen that
man.
plugin, and it sounds great, and I'm never going to use it.
"Yep,
So-
exactly." Okay, then.
Can I edit something real quick?
Yes, we have to hurry up. We have like 2 minutes left before I need to prepare for my next podcast. So what's up?
Quick though.
Okay, better make it quick. Okay, yeah, I can type that in. Gotcha. Okay. He wanted to put in, we make notes about what we chat about in the podcast, and he wanted to put 32 gigabytes of RAM in there. So we did.
Of course.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, Manuel, unless there's anything else that I missed, I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, just follow me on all the assorted social media and the Bandcamp and the Spotify, and yeah, that's about it.
Kirby. All right. You want to hit stop, sweetie?